Welcome everyone to the 8th round of the GP4 Offline Championship 2012 season. I am your host for this race, George Oak, and welcome to round 8, the European Grand Prix at the Valencia Street Circuit. So first of all, we will go over the race rating and the driver of the day. So the race rating was given a 7.1, a 6 out of 10, and the driver of the day, no surprise, was the winner of the race, Joseph Willows. There will be 57 laps around the Valencia Street Circuit, 25 corners, probably the worst track of the calendar, I have to say, but hopefully it will be somewhat of an interesting race, although I don't believe last year's was particularly interesting. But anyway, let's move on to the grid. So the grid is Viggo Holst on pole with Wade Scuba second in the Ferrari, with Nicholas Gall third and George Rope fourth, Florian Volker fifth, Jay McKenzie in 6th, 7th place is Evan Byrne, followed by Joseph Willows in the Ferrari in 8th place. De Rosa is in 9th, followed by Rifki Hussein in 10th position, I should say. 11th, Alex Southgate. 12th, Robert Ionescu. 13th is, as we go through the grid, is Roman Quagg. It was an impressive qualifying by the Frenchman in the Caterham. It was a wet qualifying, it should be noted, with Roland Moitian in 14th. Adam Wolf in 15th. 16th place is Franco Gamba, who's had, unfortunately, since Australia, not a particularly brilliant start to the season, let's say. 17th place is Zachary Fitzwater. 18th place, Amar Khan, not a good qualifying in the Force India. 19th place, Sam Thompson. Philippe Sontag, very disappointed in 20th. And we move on to the last row of the grid, Oliver Glazebrook and Sean Grant for Marussia. And that is the grid for Valencia's 57 laps around the track. And now we will see what the weather will be like for the Grand Prix. As you can see, it will be, for the moment, light rain, but it will be heavy rain for the end of the race. But it will still be raining pretty high intensity throughout the whole Grand Prix. So there could be quite a few mistakes in this one. So this should be a fascinating race to watch. So now we will head on to the grid. We have Viggo Holst on pole for the second time this season. Wade Scuba, who's already taken a win this season in round 6 at Monaco. Joseph Willows took the win at round 7. We're here at round 8. And we're underway. Who's going to take the win for round 8 of the 2012 GP4 Offline Championship season race? And Holst has got a fantastic start as they head through turn 1. He's got a massive jump on Kuba, who didn't himself get a great start. And Holst is going to take the lead into turn 1. He goes a little bit wide. And oh, hang on. I think Gal's missing a rear wing there. And Volker's missing a front wing. Have the two Red Bulls collide with each other again? As Roke slides through into 3rd place, and that could give him an advantage come the end of the race, but Kuba and Holst are away, and Volker and Gal it looks like they have. So let's go on board first of all. So Volker made a good start. He got past George Roke, and he was alongside George Roke, and he just didn't see him there with all the spray and just went into the back of him, into the back of his teammate Gallen, who almost actually went into Holst at the first corner there, so that would have been disaster for the front runners once again. But Volker once again has retired from the last 2 races, which is very rare for a driver like him. And wow, what a start we've had to this Grand Prix. And Owen De Ross has been involved in something as well with Southgate, and unfortunately for Southgate, he's gone into the back of De Rosa, who De Rosa got stacked up behind. I believe that was the other McLaren, actually. I think of Evan Byrne, and unfortunately that's caused a chain reaction behind. So that is not a good start. We've already had a number of collisions at the start of this Grand Prix, so already a dramatic start, but not a good start for the 2 Red Bulls, and now they're blocking the whole track for everyone else. So Roke, Holst and Kuba have a big chance to get away here, as the 2 Red Bulls are still battling each other, as McKenzie is trying to get through. As we look at Volker as they come around through the chicane on the first lap. What a start to the race we've had, and he made the move on Gal. Really nice move there, but unfortunately it will be for absolutely nothing in a minute, because he'll get overtaken by McKenzie as they come into the right-hander just before the bridge. And there's a Sauer, I believe that was a Robbie Ionescu making a move on Evan Byrne as they come over the bridge for the first time. And McKenzie trying to go on the inside, but he just can't quite do it. He's being really treacherous around the track, and they're tiptoeing it as Byrne goes very wide coming out of the exit there and drops a few positions, it looks like, as there's a Mercedes missing the rear wing, and Nicholas Gal's out. And Nicholas Gal, to sum up what has been a disastrous start for Red Bull, is now out of the Grand Prix. So something has happened to him just coming over the bridge. So we need to have a look to see what has happened there for the Hungarian driver. So let's have a look. So he dropped down to 10th, and I think he must have been hit from behind. And oh, he was hit from behind by Roland Moitian, who is somehow escaped without any damage there. That is very, very lucky indeed. And he actually went in, and that's why Byrne went wide. He actually went into the back of Byrne as well, which caused him to go wide and dropped him a few positions down to 10th place. My oh my, what a start we've had to this Grand Prix so far. There's Roke in 3rd, Mackenzie's now up to 4th, and Moyton is running in 8th with no damage at the moment. So they're coming through the right-hander for the first time. On the first lap of the Grand Prix, there's a lot of cars stacking up near the back. There's Sontag, Fitzwater, Thompson. They're all there, stacking up behind the cars who are trying to get back to the pits. It is quite a chaotic start, and looks like Quag has gone into someone else now. And he's gone into the back of, I believe that is, I think that's Alex Southgate, I believe, and they're lucky. And no, it's Ollie Glazebrook, sorry, it's not Quag, it's Glazebrook who's gone into the back of, I believe that is Southgate. And unfortunately for Southgate, he'd already damaged his car, but Glazebrook now is going to have to go into the pits for a new front wing. But there's a big gap between the front two to Roke, and then Roke to Mackenzie in 4th. They've got away after the chaos that has ensued on this first lap. Burns already got past Gamba for 9th as they come through the right-hander for the first time. And there's a car spun. That is Roman Quag, and he rejoins. And he's rejoined right in front of the Force India there of De Rosa. And Glazebrook's been involved as well. And Southgate, I believe that is in the Mercedes, that is now out of this race. And what a start we've had to this Grand Prix. My goodness me. Chaos everywhere in the wet Valencia. And I just only imagine if it happened in real life, it would make the races a hell of a lot more exciting. But oh my goodness me. So what has happened now then? So Quag was spun so it looks like he made contact with cars. That's why he spun. So there was the contact right there. There was actually 2 bits of contact, and Quag spun right in front of everyone else. And oh dear, he just tried to rejoin in front of everyone else. And oh wait, that was Sontag, who somehow got away without any damage just by clattering into the front of him. But oh dear, and Quag's just rejoined right in front of Southgate there. That was just pitiful, pitiful driving there. So the car's made of steel on Sontag's car, but it's made of plastic or something like that on Southgate's car, because I don't know how Sontag's actually got away with that, but he's still in the race though. As Ignescu's moved up to 6th, Ricky Farkas in 7th, Rhoda Moyton, who somehow got away without damage from that incident with Gal, in 8th, but with Byrne breathing down his neck. As Glacier, and there's a red, and that's Volker. Something's happened in the pits. What is going on? Like, what is happening in this race? So Volker looks like he's retired from this Grand Prix, but something that has happened in the pits. So what has happened now? So Volker was entering the pits after after the collision that he had with Gal, and I don't know what's happened. I don't know how he's had a collision. There doesn't seem to be anybody in sight. So how has this happened then? So he comes into the pits, goes a bit slow as normal, and then he just goes into the wall. I don't really know what to make of that. Maybe a bit of standing water on the track made he went onto the track, and the Rebel mechanics are just like, no, it's your fault. You acted like a moron, so stuff you. Oh dear me! Wow, this is some start to the race that we've had so far. As now Glazebrook makes his way to his pit box, as now De Rosa makes his way to change his tyres. Quag's still on the track at the moment, but Glazebrook now having to change his front wing. But Volker is now out of this race, so we now have, I believe, that is 2 cars, or 3 cars, I believe, out of this race. But Robbie Ignescu at the moment is running well in the points, as we look at Waze Kuba running in P2 behind Virgo Holst, who's got a fair bit of a gap to him at the moment. Running in P1 is run on lap 3, so if you have a look at the order, so at the moment it's Holst in 1st, Kuba 2nd, Roke 3rd, Mackenzie in 4th, Josie Willis 5th. Now here is Sam Thompson making a move, and there's contact between him and Sontag. Thompson's gone around, and Sontag has got back on track. Thompson is going to drop a few positions. He dropped the Fitzwater. He's dropped behind another car, and Thompson makes a bit of a hash of rejoining there, but he rejoins back in 16th place. So let's have a look at that. What happened there again? Sontag was trying to make, it was right behind Thompson, but I suppose wasn't expecting him maybe to come right out in front of him there. But Sontag, I don't believe he actually lost a place. He still gained it from Thompson there, and in fact he did, as he comes over the bridge, which is host to a big accident back in 2009, I believe it was. I think involving Victor Bobo. As we have a look coming through the right hander, and there's a yellow flag out somewhere on the track, so something else has happened once again. So where is that yellow flag? Well, it's still out, so something has still happened on this lap. There's a wheel, and that's Sontag and Evan Byrne, and they're both retired, and they're both out of this race. I don't know if they've collided with each other, but it looks like they might have done. But for Felix Sonntag, he's had a pretty dreadful season so far. And for Evan Byrne, who's had, well, he's not had a bad season so far, you'd have to say. He's had a decent season, but for Sonntag, it's another retirement. That's something which will not do good for his chances of a Mercedes seat next year. Sign-ups will be opening for the series in a couple of weeks as we look at Evan Byrne. So let's have a look at what happened. Was it involving with Sonntag? And yes, it was. So Byrne, who's running in 8th place, was right behind Rivki Farkazane for Sauber. And let's have a look. He must have made contact with him coming as the right-hander, and yes, he did. He made contact, and he lost control of the car. And so let's have a look. So he seemed to be going okay. Let the few cars go past. Did he rejoin in front of Sonntag, or? Okay, so Byrne rejoined. Oh dear me, and Byrne really made a hash of rejoining there, and Sonntag just came around the corner, not expecting a car to be there, and there wasn't really much he could do about that. Pretty much right on his racing line. Bit of a mistake there from Byrne, not something he will look back on. But unfortunately for both him and Sonntag, they are both out of this race. And what a start we've had so far in this Grand Prix. So we now go to Adam Wolff, who's coming into the pits on lap 19 of this race. Not much has happened so far in this race because, of course, this is Valencia. So, I mean, what do you expect, really? It's not expected to return on the calendar next year as, oh, Sean Grant. Oh, hang on. What's happened here? Oh, my goodness. And Quagga's gone into the wall, and Holst has lost his front wing, and he's going to have to go the whole way around the lap to pit again. So what has happened? Coming around the final corner, and Holst, who is lapping Sean Grant, and oh my God, Grant is just, what is he doing? What is Grant thinking? He was letting Holst lap him, and for some reason, did he not back off? I mean, Holst was through there. And for some reason, Grant just kept it on the inside. I really don't know what he was thinking there, Grant. That's a really, really poor move from the Irishman there. No idea what he was thinking there. And unfortunately, I don't know what Quag was doing. And unfortunately, he hit Holst and he just couldn't make it into the pits in time. And that is him out the race. But for Holst, he's going to have to go through a whole lap with a damaged front wing. And that is going to give the lead to Waze Kuba. And oh my goodness me, what a start to the race we have had. But he's going to have to go into the pits now, and Kuba is going to catch him up. He had a pretty decent lead over him as well, so he's looking very, very comfortable, Holst. And could that incident come back to bite him later on in the race? We shall see. As there's Kuba just coming around the corner now. He's now going to be catching up, and he'll probably pass him either on this straight or the straight after, I reckon. It's down to 3.7 seconds, the gap from what was around about, I think, 7 seconds it was originally. So I imagine Kuba will catch him probably on the next straight, but we'll see. As Holst now comes on to the first of the 2 long straights, and now there is Kuba, who is actually catching up to him at a pretty fast rate of knots, but I don't know if he'll get him before the corner. We shall see. It's going to be very, very close, but Holst, as he's currently leading, but he will not be leading for much longer, and Kuba in fact does go past him there. Holst wisely doesn't bother to put up a fight against Kuba, and now Waze Kuba is going to take the lead of the European Grand Prix. What a slice of luck that Ferrari have had so far, and that is not what Viggo Holst wanted at all. Yet to win so far from McLaren. He's taken 2 pole positions so far this season, but he's yet to win this season for McLaren, but he'll aim to do that before the end of the season, but he's got plenty of time to do so. But for Waze Kuba, who's actually just pitting this lap as well, so it pretty much has worked out very well in their favour. Although for Holst, it could still give him a chance to possibly catch up later on in the race, but we shall see. But Kuba will certainly get a pretty decent gap. It will be larger than what Holst had to him, as he now comes in for his first stop, sliding over that pretty slippery curb. As they come into the pits, it's quite a dodgy pit entry here in Valencia, but now Holst just comes into the pits after him. Well, I imagine Kuba will be have a fairly significant gap out in front. 4.5 second stop, and all McLaren haven't even been ready for him yet, so that is not what they needed at all, and that's going to give Kuba an even bigger lead out in front. Oh dear me. And he comes out to 14 second stop, and well, that could cost Holst big time later on in this race, as he now comes out of the pits, and he's dropped down all the way down to P4 behind the 2 Lotus cars, and he comes down P4, and he comes out actually just in front of Waze Kuba's teammate Joseph Willows. Excuse me, sorry for my throat, guys. and he comes out in P4 just ahead of Joseph Willows. Now here we are looking at the Ferrari, I believe, of Wade Scuba, who's right behind George Roque in the Lotus. And where is he going to come? And is he going to try and overtake him coming down the back straight? And it looks like he is. Kuba is going to go for it. Roque defends. Kuba's already on the inside, and that is a fantastic move there by the Congolese driver. And he makes the move stick for P2 for the time being, as now De Rosa comes in for another stop for Force India. And where will he come out on track? Currently he's not in the points, and I doubt he will be in the points this race, unless he has a miracle. But now here comes George Roque for Lotus, who comes into the pits. I need to remember, obviously, that this team is Lotus. And oh dear me, and we have another collision on track. This is between his Armor car, and it looks like Franco Gamba, and is Gamba out the race? It looks like he is, and yep, there is his wheel. So that is Franco Gamba, and that is him done for the day. And so we need to establish what has happened here. That is at the corner just before the bridge, and and we need to figure out what has happened there. So I don't know what's really happened there. I think it was obviously a collision where I think Gamba must have spun and car must have hit him on the back of the car. Must have hit him on the front side of the car there. So here we are. Let's have a look. Now, what happened? And so, Carl was trying to get past Gamba, and yep, there was contact there, and it just pushed him. And Carl, who pretty much had nowhere to go, and then went into the back of, went into the front, sorry, I should say, of Gamba's car. And unfortunately for Gamba, that is his race done, and his miserable season continues. So that will not be a race that he will look back on for sure. And now we are looking at Viggo Holst, who is right behind the Lotus of Jay McKenzie as he comes down the back straight. And is he going to make a move stick coming into the corner? And the answer is, oh, there was nearly contact there, but they've managed to get away without any contact at the moment. And McKenzie down to P3, but now with his teammate George Roque just behind him as well. Should be very interesting to see if Roque can get past his teammate McKenzie, who actually is yet to stop, so he may be going for the long haul. So now here is George Roque and McKenzie, the two Lotus drivers, battling out for the podium, as there's Holst trying to get past some lap traffic in front. Roque is right behind McKenzie, but McKenzie will be pitting soon anyway. So as Roque comes through the right-hander, he's got a much better run over McKenzie as they come down towards the, or to come onto the second back straight. And he's going to make a move, Roque, into the turn, and the answer is no, he doesn't. Doesn't quite make a move there, but he's, well, I mean, it is difficult to overtake at this track, that is why. And oh no, hang on, well, he certainly won't be overtaking him now. It's an oil leak, and George Roque is going to retire from this race. And unfortunately for Roque, he was doing very well. He was looking good for probably a podium by the looks of it. But now he's going to get absolutely zilch from this race. And oh dear me, Roque's not going to go back in the pits. There's smoke billowing out the back of his car. There's oil leaking now all over the track, and very unfortunate there for Roque, who's having a really good race. And he just goes past the pits, and now he's going to try and pull off the track. How very unfortunate for the British driver. He's been having a much better season so far than last season. He's actually already beaten his points total, actually, I think, from last year, which was 21 points. He's now on 24, and there's a wheel going in the middle of the track. Let's hope no one hits it, and I think it's gone over to the other side now, so I think that should be safe and sound. But for Roque, who was doing very well and attacking his teammate, unfortunately, he's now retired, and now McKenzie comes in for his stop. And so let's see how quick this stop will be for the Lotus driver. It's a 4.9 second stop. And let's see where he comes out on track. He's in P4, shot behind Joseph Willows. And now he's going to come out just ahead of the Sal of Robert Ionescu. At the moment, he's actually still running, and in the race for points at the moment, there's Oliver Glazebrook in the Caterham. I've got it right this time. Running it down in P15. Now here we are looking at Armor Car and De Rosa. And oh, De Rosa's lost his rear wing. And something has happened here. What has happened? And oh, it looks like Sam Thompson has gone into him there. Coming into coming off the edge of the bridge, and oh dear me, that's poor driving there from Thompson. Just went right into the back of him, and now they are both going to have to go into the pits for the, I believe for De Rossi, that is now the third time that he's going to have to go into pits. Now here is Robert Inescu who's going in for his pit stop. Inescu has had, well, I mean, it's not been a great season so far, yet to score any points so far, and the only other 2 finishes he's had were agonisingly close. P9 in those 2 races. And at the moment, he's looking good for getting some points as Wolf just comes around quite wide around the final corner. And now that is Sam Thompson, who is out of the Grand Prix, having just made his pit stop. It's been a pretty much disastrous day for Toro Rosso altogether. So what was the problem here for Sam Thompson? And let's have a look as he comes round the right-hander. It was an engine problem, or an engine problem and oil leak, one of the 2. But Thompson, unfortunately, that problem was too terminal to get back to the pits, and he retired from the Grand Prix almost immediately. Well, actually, there comes the smoke coming from the car. So unfortunately, if he didn't have a chance of getting back, that chance was gone. And as he comes around the right-hander here, unfortunately, he retires from this race. It's a double DNF once again for Toro Rosso. It's just not been a season. It's not been Gamba's season. And Thompson, who's actually got points, coming despite the fact that he scored no points in 2011, but he needed to get some points if he wanted to keep his job in the series. But if he wants to keep his job for another season, and so he pulls off the track and he goes into the wall, and his car now finally gets pushed away by a marshal, and which I can't quite see what the problem was, but never mind. Now into the pits comes Roland Moitian, the Hungarian driver for Williams. Took his first pole position, I believe it was, in the OC in Spain, and unfortunately had that collision with George Roque, and then unfortunately crashed out the race, so wasn't brilliant there. Unfortunately just not his day for Moitian, but at least he now has an OC pole position to his name, and that is a Marussia that has spun off the track, or a Virgin. And that was of, I believe it was Sean Grant, I think it was. And yes, it was. And oh, you've got to be kidding me. Once again, the 2 Virgins have collided with each other. They need to stop touching each other's cars. Like, literally, it's getting ridiculous now, the amount of collisions they've had. They really need to have a talk to sort it out. But unfortunately for them, they've collided once again. They're both still in the race, though. And as you can see, there were blue skies, but unfortunately the rain obviously has now come back in this race. So as you can see, the clouds have come over, so the rain is expected to return for the second half. As now Ricky Harkazane comes into stall. He's had his pit stop. It's a 6.4, so that's actually quite long. And he is fueled to the end of this Grand Prix, so he will go to the end. At the moment, he is in the points, running in P8 for Sauber, and I believe his teammate Robbie Inescu is actually running in the points too, so it could be, for once, it could be a double points finish here for Sauber, which would be some much needed relief for the team, and especially for Robbie Inescu, who really needs a points result. As now Viggo Holst comes in for his second, and I imagine his final stop of the race, but just imagine if he hadn't had that collision with Quark, he probably would have gone on to win this race, because he had a comfortable lead over Kuba out in front, and unfortunately with that clip, well, unfortunately for Sean, I mean, you can blame Sean Grant for that, because he's pretty much effectively ruined his race. Although he's still probably set to get a P2, he has pretty much denied him the win. As you can see, Holst goes actually a little bit deep, actually, coming into the pit entry there. And he now comes into the pits. And let's see where he comes out. And he's already going to come out well behind, so he's probably still going to come out in second place, I imagine. Yeah, because I mean, I think the gap to whoever's in third, which I believe is Joseph Willis, is a pretty big one. And yeah, he's only just coming to the back to the final corner as both. Oh, and actually both Willows and Mackenzie are going into the pits for their final stop. So the battle could be on for the podium here between Willows and Mackenzie. So who's going to have the quicker stop? Willows is in. Let's see how quickly his stop will be. So is Mackenzie. And as you can see, Willows did get out in front of them, and for the moment he's still stuck behind all the way from that pit stop. And Oliver Glazebrook has now spun. That is coming to the corner just before the bridge. And oh dear me, that is not good. Glazebrook making a bit of a struggling to get back going there. But what has happened? Who's he had a collision with? And it's with Sean Grant again. And unfortunately, the Virgins just can't stop hitting each other's cars or touching each other's cars. They need to keep themselves to themselves, really. It's now Mackenzie who's right behind Willows. And Willows has gone a bit deep into the final corner. And this could be Mackenzie's chance. He's been stuck behind him for around 20 laps. And Mackenzie, I think, has he made the move stick? P3's on the screen. and he has made it stick, and Mackenzie is now up into P3, and he grabs the podium for Lotus. That was a great move there as we look coming into the final set of corners, and you could just see Willows just went a bit too deep, and Mackenzie came around and overtook him, and Willows almost steered into Mackenzie there. That would have been a disaster for both. They could have taken each other out of the race there. But for Willows, he'll still at least get a top 4, but a podium, unfortunately, has slipped from his grasp. And here we are now on the last lap. And here is your race leader, Waze Kuba, who took the lead ever since that collision that Holst had with Grant. And that pretty much won him the race, because, I mean, Holst and Kuba were so far ahead of everyone else. And with George Roque then retiring from the Grand Prix, that pretty much just handed the 1 and 2 to Kuba and Holst, but I think Holst will have wanted it to be the other way around due to that collision with Shaw, and I think he'll probably just be sick of me even talking about him in the commentary right now. So yeah, but Kuba is set to take Ferrari's 3rd victory of the season, and the 3rd victory in a row for Ferrari, and his 2nd victory of the season, with Joseph Wills taking his 1st victory of the season last time out in Canada. As he comes down the front straight, he's got a bit of traffic ahead of him. He's got that is the Force India of I think that is Amar Khan, I believe it is. So I think both Force Indias are still in the race. But as we look at Waze Kuba, as he's coming down towards the 2nd back straight on the final lap, he had a pretty torrid season last season. It didn't go his way in particular. But for Kuba, he's already set to take 2 victories in this season, unless he has a problem before the final corner. As he comes round the right hand at number 77, Waze Kuba, the Congolese, formerly Belgian driver, comes round the 2 left-handers, comes around the right, tiptoeing around as it's once again pouring down with rain here. But it's been a pretty awful day. But for Waze Kuba, it's been his lucky day as he comes around the final set of corners. He now comes into turn 25, the final corner of the race. And Waze Kuba, as he comes down the front straight, goes a little bit wide. But Waze Kuba wins the European Grand Prix here in Valencia to take his 2nd victory of the season. Well done to him, and Bigger Holst will feel very hard done by that he hasn't got his 1st win of the season for McLaren. He comes across the line in P2. And Mackenzie will come across the line very far back in P3, but here is Zachary Fitzwater, who's set to take 11th place ahead of his teammate Sean Grant, who once again have had another collision. I don't know how many that is this season. It must have been probably the 4th or 5th time, I think. Certainly, I think it's certainly been at least 3 times at that. Fitzwater goes a little bit wide there at the final corner, but it won't matter. He makes it across the line to come home in P11. And here is Robbie Inescu, who's in 5th place. And he's Moyton in 6th. And Inescu's gone wide. And is Moyton going to take 6th place? Coming across the line, it's going to be very close. Moyton's got 5th. And he has. He's just pipped Inescu to 5th at the final corner. Oh, what a traumatic end of the race that was. Inescu did the same thing as well, as he went way too deep there. And he still got a somewhat decent run, but Moyton just had enough power in the car to pip Inescu across the line. Inescu will probably be a bit disappointed at that, but he'll be very happy that he'll have got his 1st points of the season. So congratulations to him. That is something that he has deserved for a while. Sean Grant comes across the line in 12th. Rifki Harpstein comes across the line in 7th to take a double points finish for Sauer. But what a tremendous again there in the battle for 5th place. But Jay Mackenzie comes around the final corner so far back from the front too, and he comes across the line to take P3. And now Oliver Glazebrook, who's gone very wide once again around the final corner. They're all going very wide there. But Glazebrook comes across the line in P13. Willows across the line in P4. Adam Wolf will take the last point for Williams in 8th place. And here is Amar Khan about to come across the line in 9th place with his teammate Kirosima De Rosso just coming behind in 10th. Not a race that the Force Indians will particularly want to remember, as they're set to come round the final couple of corners, as they coming around turn 23, 24, and now into 25. As we go around, car goes wide, and De Rossa is now going to go through, and he's going to take P9. And it makes me think, was there team orders there to allow those 2 drivers through? Most likely it was, because Carl went very, very wide himself. So I imagine the team probably said something to him. Coming around the final corner there, almost takes out the marshal there, but just about gets away with it. But now De Rossa is going to come home in P9, and Carr comes across the line in P10. And as it says on the screen, the race is over. So that has been the European Grand Prix. 1 hour and 48 seconds. That was long, nearly 2 hours of racing. But here are the race results. So Waze Kuba wins ahead of with Bigger Hole second, Jay McKenzie in third, Joseph Willis fourth, Ronan Bush in fifth, Ionescu sixth, Ricky Falk in seventh, and Anna Wolf in eighth, completing the points with De Rossa, Carr, Fitzwater a lap down with Glazebrook, and Sean Grant 2 laps down with a 25-second penalty to Sean Grant, with Sam Thompson, George Roque, Franco Gamba, Roman Quagg, Evan Byrne, Felix Sontag, Florian Volker, Alex Southgate, Mikola Scow, all retiring from this race. And that was, yeah, I mean, it was a somewhat decent race, I have to say. As we now look properly at the fastest laps, so Holst set the fastest lap quite comfortably by nearly half a second over Kuba in first place, in second place. Roke's in third, so he showed some good pace. Joseph was fourth, Mackenzie fifth, Sontag, De Rossa, Moitian, Byrne, Ionescu, Thompson, Quagg, Wolf, Carr, Gamba, Glazebrook, Fitzwater, Grant, with Mikola Scow, Florian Volker, and Alex Southgate not setting a lap time from this race. And now we look at the point standings for this after the European Grand Prix. Florian Volker is still the points leader despite having 3 retirements in a row. Mikola Scow in second place, just 2 points ahead of Viggo Holst, who would have gone equal on points with them had he won the Grand Prix. Evan Byrne is in fourth place, just 4 points off. Waze Cooper in fifth with that up to fifth with that win. Mackenzie sixth, Roke seventh, Joseph Willis in eighth, Alex Southgate ninth, and Felix Sontag completing the top 10. Then it's very tight from Felix Sontag actually down, with De Rossa in 11th on 7 points, Moitian and Thompson and Park on 6, Armakar on 4 points, Ionescu 3, Gamba on 2, same as Quagg and Wolf, with Glazebrook on 1 point, with the 2 Virgins the only team so far yet to score a point. And in the constructor standings, Red Bull lead on 74 points, ahead of McLaren on 68, Lotus third on 55, just 1 point ahead of Ferrari on 54, Mercedes way down on 22, Force India 6th with 11, Sauber 7th with 9, Williams and Toro 8th and 9th with 8 points, Caterham 10th, and Marussia 11th, the only team yet to score a point this season. That has been the European Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed. Apologies for my throat. Unfortunately, it's a bit dry and everything. My voice hasn't been brilliant so far, so I hope you enjoy the fact that I'm sorry about that, really. I mean, so anyway, I'm just going to go now because I'm losing all my senses here and it's not becoming very professional. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We will see you for the next round, the British Grand Prix at the Silverstone Circuit. Thanks for watching and see you there. Bye.